Hello, YouTube. Today I want to talk to you about something that has been a thing for a very long time, but it seems to be very top of mind at the moment, and kind of everywhere I go, I'm just seeing more and more and more of it, and that is the prevalence of Ragebait content. Basically TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch. I mean, you pick a social media, you name it, and it is generally the most viewed, the most liked, and the most interacted with content on that platform. And I would think it is gained such prevalence because I guess as people's dopamine receptors are so completely fried from constant instant gratification, these content creators have discovered that instead of showing you something that makes you go, wow, and then you double click and move on with your day, they can also shoot something that makes you angry. And instead of liking it per se, you'll comment on it. And that's a better metric of interaction and engagement. Because people directly responding, sort of having a conversation about it, it is more fruitful to the overall idea of social media being social, if that makes sense. So I see why they do it, but it's just that it's become so prevalent lately that you really can't go anywhere without running into it. Now with this, there are some examples that you could maybe shoehorn into this category that I think are okay. And here's one example. Um, so for a little bit of background, T-Pain, whatever, like a week ago, dropped a music video. I think it's about cars in some way, shape, or form. And so I'll play a little section. So as you can see, you got a guy in the engine bay of one of these RX-7s, and he's in there with a hammer, where you probably want to be in there with a wrench of some sort. And you can see T-Pain commenting, "Everything's obviously a joke. Relax." So I haven't read the comments, but this would imply that some people had commented about the hammer, and it's just stuff like that kind of farms a little bit of engagement. However, this is more of like I consider this more of like an Easter egg than really the whole piece of content being centered around making people angry so that they'll comment. However, there are individuals that I've noticed on both TikTok and Twitch that have kind of centered their whole thing around being actively negative and toxic, so as to get more engagement and views and thus push them to the top. Now, this is not a live broadcast, but I do believe when I checked earlier today, this individual had over 1,000. Actually, yeah. And so as you can see today, this individual was easily clearing and maintaining over 1,000 concurrent viewers during their stream, and this is their whole type of content. So, without further ado, let's watch.
So that's the start. That's the sad part. 조정's innocent about. That's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say after that. I keep losing games that I shouldn't be losing. Like it's getting ridiculous. It's getting very irritating. I'm losing games when I'm in the lead by like 5 goals, and it's getting very boring. Appointment, because something's not right. Either Dr. Phil or my 600-pound life. I don't know which one. Every time that I effing go to block the ball, look what effing happens. Every effing time. Look! For some reason, backflipping every single effing time. I'm getting really sick and tired of that happening. It's so annoying.
So anyway, as you can see, this sort of negative, overtly negative, toxic content does garner some interactions. And I don't think there's anybody like necessarily on his side, but it doesn't matter because he's getting the interactions, he's getting the ad views at the end of the day. Now to switch us in a different direction, kind of in a Mr. Beastie fashion, which I will explain due to kind of the big numbers and sort of destroying things. You buy whatever $50,000 Rolex and you smash it with a hammer. This sort of rage bait content will always kind of garner interactions from people. Oh, why would you do that? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? And you know, yeah. So here we just have Whistling Diesel destroying a Ferrari out in the middle of nowhere, basically for clicks and views. I would say this sort of content is a bit more harmless, but at the same time, the spirit of it is kind of disingenuous, I would say. And then moving on to another example, and I'm sure you've seen this, is basically all the cooking videos of people that just make absolutely asinine meals where they, you know, like you've probably seen it, they just pour a bunch of uncooked noodles and then uncooked ground beef, which, spoiler, if you're gonna make something in the oven with ground beef, generally you want to cook the ground beef first before you put it in with the other stuff to put in the oven. But anyway, but then lastly, there's also this sort of content where you know, similar to the money spent, although it does not overtly say anything about the money spent. Most people know that Wagyu beef is quite expensive, and so in that way, it's kind of the same thing. It's just wasting very expensive ingredients for clicks and views, and so I mean, not really gonna show a whole lot of it, but you get the idea. It's not really a special meal by any stretch of the imagination. But it gets obviously the likes and the comments. This is probably the closest I will get to politics. So some of you may have seen Elon Musk's new Cybertruck is apparently bulletproof, and obviously most of us, if we're looking for a truck, you know, towing capacity, you know, maybe miles per gallon, somewhere in there. You know, what kind of engine it has, or if you're looking for electric, you know, maybe you want range. But what are we bragging about here? Yeah, how bulletproof this truck is. And so obviously, if you scroll down, this car, who's buying, blah 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 blah, and so it's just more Ragebait content, meant to get you to, you know, say something about it and reply. And on Twitter, especially, because now if you're verified or have whatever premium, I believe that they will pay you for the sort of engagement that you'll get. And so due to this, a lot of this sort of content, it shows up on Twitter, which, as you can see, I've blacked out my account. And aside from making this video, I don't plan on using Twitter anymore, because it's really just brain rot. Not to be outdone, of course. I wanted to show this first, but it's almost too easy. I wanted to use other social mediums to drive my point home, but one of, I guess, the most pervasive of all of them, and I think the higher ups at this particular social media obviously know about this, and that's Ragebait content on TikTok. And I'll show you this, you know, TikTok.com, first video. So this is literally the first thing I'm being shown. And keep in mind, has almost 69,000 comments, 2.7 million likes, and I can't see the views, but I would assume it's over 10 million at least. So let's watch.
I told you, get off of your phone right now. Get off of your. Get out of my face. No. Oh no, you wrong.
I told you, get out of my face. I gave you a warning.
And I'm gonna give you a warning right now.
What?
Apologize. Are you?
So I'm not gonna watch any more of this, but as you can see, it's just fake, made up content to pretty much, you know, get you to comment and engage with the content. Some other ones I found. This one's really straight up misinformation, which, once again, similar to the politics and similar to the extremely toxic content, misinformation is on the extreme end of things, and clearly it gets people to comment.
possibility of a new skin virus or perhaps a malicious effect caused by the watch's batteries. The situation escalated to such an
And then on the lesser malicious side, it is basically asinine caveman content, just breaking things. But yeah, same thing. Gets people to comment. Nothing really high level or well thought out about this content. And of course, it's all fake.
What car brand would you never own?
Here's one pitting people's loyalties with car brands against other people's. You notice basically what they say in here kind of covers the spectrum.
Probably a Nissan.
And
What car brand would
yeah,
you never
gets people to reply.
All right, what's going on, guys? So
One of my favorites, since my profession, I'm an accountant. I love when they include the numbers. The numbers, you definitely know. You definitely know. Because obviously this rent would be a little bit on the high side. A little bit on the high side. But you notice it's all basically unfinished. And once again,
to top it off, you even have your own private terrace slash balcony outside that basically is
yeah,
surrounded by the skyline.
same thing. Gets people to comment. And it's really easy based on the numbers because it just appeals to the lowest bidder at that point. And then another one, I'm not particularly sure what this guy does, but I ran into this one, and he always seems to be in the middle of some sort of I'm better than you, or I'll teach you how to live your life content. And once again, it's a skit, but it gets people to comment, and that's all it really sets out to do. So these are the examples I had lined up. I mean, I would love to hear from you guys, whether you've seen this kind of in your social media goings online. Maybe I'm just terminally online. I need to take a break, which absolutely I'm going to do at this point. Pretty much put everything on snooze. I think the only thing I plan to maintain is just doing some long form content on YouTube because I think that's a little bit more interesting. But otherwise, yeah, Twitter, TikTok, all that. I'm gonna take a very long break from that because it seems like the level of brain rot is just getting to be too much. Obviously, all this stuff affects you mentally, whether you actively know it or whether you're just kind of passively going through and being like, yeah, it doesn't really affect me, whatever. I mean, even wasting your time watching it, you could have been, spending doing something productive or maybe even just relaxing. Because this sort of content kind of takes you up from, if you were kind of an anxiety or a stress, level 3 or 4, it might take you to a 5 or 6 just from watching it. I mean, just because, it's designed to get you angry and then you comment and then you kind of let that marinate a little bit. And so I think with that, it's best to just kind of throw it all away. And I'm hoping, kind of as a result, because I think in the future, I foresee the internet kind of taking a large turn, and hopefully people going more offline. It'd be really great to see. I don't think it'll happen time particularly soon. I think it'll take a while, but I think people will wake up to it. Anyway, let me know what you guys think, and hope y'all have a good one.